they believe that what he wrote is true. You see now? And then he then says, if many things that Jesus did were written in books, then now he talks about it. So, and I suppose, then I suppose there would be no space. So he mentions that disciple is not, he's not that disciple. But the information he gathered in the Gospel of John comes from that disciple. Do you see now? And that's how we understand that the writer of the Gospel of John is not John himself. It's the account of John the apostle, but written by the evangelist, by someone else. Do you see that? Okay, but it's apostolic, contact. So according to this passage, the writer of the Gospel of Matthew, let's have a look at, the Gospel of Matthew as well. Yeah, Matthew 28, verse 16 and 17. Jesus' 11, this is the writer of, now saying, Matthew 28, verses 16 and 17. Jesus' 11 disciples went to a mountain in Galilee, where Jesus had told them to meet him. They saw him and worshipped him, but some of them doubted. Now, according to this passage, the writer of the Gospel of Matthew didn't claim to be one of the 12 apostles of Jesus, but it's a different person from the characters mentioned in the Gospel. Do you see now? He's saying the disciples, the 11 went to the mountain in Galilee where Jesus told them to meet him. Then it says they saw him and worshipped him, but some of them doubted. Do you see? He's not saying he was one of them. Do you see now? So the Gospel of Matthew is not written by Matthew, the apostle. You see, but it's written by someone else on the account of Matthew, one of the apostles. So he's just taking the story from there and then looking at, and then also checking it at the accuracy. They're all working together, checking the accuracy in the Gospel of Mark, and then they're just, do you understand? Making sure that it's correct, it's perfect, and so forth. Okay, and so we move on. So we know that the Gospel of Matthew also is not written by Matthew himself, just like the Gospel of John. Amen? Amen. Now let's look at Mark. Mark 16:14 says, afterwards, Jesus appeared to his 11 disciples as they were eating. He scolded them because they were too stubborn to believe the ones who had seen him after he had been raised to life. Again, according to this passage, the writer of the Gospel of Mark also didn't claim to be one of the 12 apostles of Jesus, but is a different person from the characters mentioned in the Gospel, though this is quite obvious. We see that. He doesn't claim to be one of them. So he's just somebody that also heard from the apostles, the witnesses, and then writes the Gospel of Mark. Do you see now? And Mark was actually a known evangelist. That's why, and he was the first. That's why his gospel is not known to be, the gospel of any of the apostles' names, but the Gospel of Mark, who was not an apostle. Do you see now? And so the Gospel of Luke also checked. So Luke also checked Mark and Matthew, and then that's why he decided, you know what, I'm going to do it on my own self, and I'm going to look at these gospel accounts, and I'm going to hear, with the guidance of the apostles, I'm going to put this together properly for the king. And so he also wrote the Gospel of Luke. Luke was not an apostle. He was one of the evangelists in the first century. He was an evangelist. So he was not an apostle. Do you see now? And that's how that was put together. So he's not one of the apostles. Okay, so the Acts of the Apostles is a narrative of the apostles' ministry and activity after Jesus Christ's death and resurrection, from which point it resumes and functions as a sequel to the Gospel of Luke, examining the style, phraseology, and other evidence. Modern scholarship generally concludes that Acts and the Gospel of Luke share the same author, referred to as Luke-X, Luke X. Now, Luke X does not name its author. Church tradition identified him as Luke the Evangelist, the companion of Paul, but the majority of the scholars reject this due to the many differences between Acts and and the authentic Pauline letters. You know, the most probable date of composition is around 80 to 100 AD.